Hey, this is Sreehari from Mr. Phone, and recently, after launching the very successful and very popular Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1, the company is back with two other super budget phones. One of them is called the Zenfone Max M1. So the Pro is removed, it's a smaller version, it's a younger brother to the Max Pro M1, and the other one is called the Lite L1. So this is a new series for Asus, and today we're going to review the Asus Zenfone Lite L1. So this is going to be a full review of this, and obviously I'll show you a few glimpses of the Asus Zenfone Max M1 because the Max M1 and the Lite L1 have very few differences, so I'll just show you all of them in the video too. But this is mainly going to be a review of the Lite L1. So without any further ado, let's jump right in. The Zenfone Lite L1 sports a basic polycarbonate design. It's definitely not something that stands out, but is certainly far from anything you'd write off. The single camera at the back and the Asus branding add to a very minimal look on the phone, and I especially like this grey color. It reminds me of that sandstone grey that the OnePlus had, obviously without the texture that was there, but it looks very similar and very classy from the back. The buttons are obviously made out of plastic as well, but I personally have had no problems with it yet, so that's great. The Zenfone Max M1 on the other hand looks exactly like the Max Pro M1's younger brother. Single camera on the back obviously, but when you put them side by side, it just looks like you shrunk down the Max Pro M1, and that actually is a good thing. The first thing that I felt when I took it out of the box is just how comfortable and compact it is, and that is one of the things that even you will notice when you take that out. There is definitely no fingerprint scanner on the Lite L1, but we'll get to that in a while. As I said with the Max M1, the Lite L1 is also very compact and comfortable and is going to be one of the most comfortable phones I am sure that you will ever use. You can literally have your shorts, keep it in your pocket and go for a run, and you will not feel that phone in your pocket. That's just how light it is. The bottom has a micro USB port flanked by two speaker grills, and on the top you'll find the 3.5mm headphone jack. Now those speakers, obviously only one of them is the speaker and the other grill is only there for symmetry, but the one thing that I did have a problem with is that the speakers could be slightly louder, but that's it. The sound actually sounds quite standard. The headphone jack performance is again quite standard too, nothing that you'll have a problem with. So that's about it for design, and I didn't think I had any such problems with the design. Now we come to the display. The display is a 720p plus panel and it's great. I mean, no color shifts and great crisp display. That's more than what you can ask for at this price. The brightness is something that bothers me a bit. It could have been slightly higher, but this is a price where I can't really complain. They're obviously compromising on a lot of things to bring down the price, and this might be one of them. Although when you're using it indoors, you won't have any problems, but that said, outdoors you might feel that the brightness is slightly low. That's the only complaint I had. I haven't experienced any light bleeds on this panel, so that's great news. It obviously comes with a Widevine L3 certificate, which means you cannot stream HD video on Netflix. Well, clearly if you're someone who wants a Widevine L1 certifications, which means that you want to stream HD videos on Netflix, on things like Netflix, then I think you should look elsewhere, maybe a little higher if you want a media consumption device. Apart from that, I don't think I have any complaints with the display too. Now we come to performance. The chipset powering the Zenfone Lite L1 as well as the Zenfone Max M1 is a Snapdragon 430. Now this is as low as chipsets go from Snapdragon. That said, I'm glad that unlike the Redmi 6A, which decided to go with an even more underpowered Helio A22, Asus decided to stick with a 430 from Snapdragon. Now 430 is fine for day-to-day usage, yes, and yes, when you stuff it, the phone does go under a lot of pressure and starts to lag, but generally it does well. Now I could have installed all the different applications on this, but that's not how it's going to be used. It's a minimal use phone where you'd play light games and do some online video watching on YouTube and listen to music maybe sometimes, and I'm happy to tell you that all those things work pretty well. So at least to me, I should only tax the processor to the limitations that it has. So I could play PUBG on this, and this is a gameplay on the Max M1, which is 1GB more RAM than the Lite L1, and you can see how choppy the gameplay is. You could still certainly play that game if you want to, but that'll be taxing the processor, and it is certainly not made to do that. That said, as I said, if you feel like 2 gigs of RAM is low, then please do go ahead with the Zenfone Max M1, which has 3 gigs of RAM and also 1000 mAh battery more and a slightly better selfie camera too, at least on paper. So that's it for the processing part. I did not expect much from it, and that's what I got. I was not surprised by the performance that it got, but as you will see right now, I'm comparing it to the Redmi 6A, which is its direct competitor, and you can clearly see how quick the Zenfone Lite L1 feels in comparison to the Redmi 6A. Now the software on this is called Zen UI based on Android 8.0 Oreo. Now we've seen this before in the Asus Zenfone 5Z, but the Lite L1 and the Max M1 are the first two budget phones this year to use this. The software is feature packed and is quite tastefully painted too. There is a quick settings panel here along with an app drawer, something that's very rare to find in this price range. The panel also has some unique features like a memory cleaner, which actually right there lets you know how much memory is free. You also get a few Asus proprietary apps like the neat looking file manager that has every file and everything tucked away very cleanly, or the phone manager that again comes in handy in a lot of times. The good part here is that there is not a lot of bloatware apart from one or two apps, which makes it quite clean. Plus, you won't find ads in the settings page, which has sadly become important to point out. Now, one thing I have a problem with is face unlock on this. There is no fingerprint scanner, so face unlock is the only way to unlock this phone, but it just takes way too long for the face to even register, and when it does, it has failed to unlock my face in most situations. Now that might certainly be because it's a pre-production unit, but this is my experience and I haven't gotten an OTA to fix it, so yeah, that's the extent of it. Now apart from that, when we come to software, Asus has done a good job of cutting the UI down. The launcher also has the Google Now page to the left side, which obviously lets you take a look at all the feeds, all the different news that you're getting. There is a theme engine inside this box. There are different power saving modes and all the battery information that you would want. But yeah, that's it. Basically, it's got a lot of useful features without being overpowering. Now the camera at the back of the Asus Zenfone Lite L1 is a 13 megapixel sensor. Now at this price, anything that lets me recognize what's in the picture will do. And the Zenfone Lite L1 is certainly above that point. And so are other phones in this price range. It does struggle with exposure. Focus also struggles in a lot of situations. That said, pictures don't look half bad. Here are pictures tagged against the Redmi 6A, which is a direct competitor. Now comparing the two, the Redmi 6A does have slightly better image processing, slightly better images. As you can see, the Zenfone obviously blurs out a lot more pictures than the Redmi 6A does. Even the selfies on the 6A look better. There is obviously beautification going on, but it looks slightly better than the Zenfone Lite L1. That said, I don't think I'm going to compare the cameras of the two. But that's clearly, the camera on the Zenfone Lite L1 is faster than the one on the Redmi 6A. So I guess you have to make one or the other trade-off, and you have to choose which one it's going to be. The front camera again isn't too bad. It's a 5 megapixel shooter, and all I can say is that it doesn't disappoint for a rupees 6,000 phone. Here we can again compare it to a Redmi 6A. It's be the same thing again. Don't expect great pictures out of it. The phone does take a lot of blurry shots simply because it's a budget phone for now. Now for video calls though, the camera is enough and you can easily video chat on it without a problem. The front camera, back camera, anything. So I guess for the basic functions of a phone, the camera is competent enough. Now we can finally move to the battery, which is a 3000 mAh battery, which will easily last you a day of use. But that's it. In my time with it, I don't know what it was, but the battery did drop faster than I expected. But don't get me wrong, it's still as good as any other phone in its price range, but from Asus's phone after Zenfone Max Pro M1 at least, I expected it to be slightly better. Maybe a few software optimizations will make the battery go even longer, but yeah, that's it. That's what I felt in my usage of it. The Zenfone Max M1 obviously has 1000 mAh more on the battery side, with almost everything else remaining just about the same as the Lite L1. So you'll obviously be getting much more battery life out of it. So if you're someone who values battery life more and you want that extra gig of RAM, then please go ahead by all means to the Zenfone Max M1. Now I've said all that I could about this phone in the review, so you can go ahead and watch that again if you want. But after all that critiquing, I still think that it's the best phone to buy under 6,000 rupees. It's a very standard budget phone, and the direct competitor of it is the Redmi 6A. Now the Redmi 6A, I have to say, has better pictures from the camera. All the image samples look slightly better from the Redmi 6A. Software is something which is a personal choice. I would certainly go with the Zenfone Lite L1 because of the Zen UI and just how fast it is compared to the MI UI on the Redmi 6A. Build quality is pretty similar. You might like the one, you might like the other. Both of them are completely made of plastic, so that's that. Processor is one place where, although the Lite L1 has used a very budget processor, the Redmi 6A just falls flat on its face for that choice. So I think the Lite L1 is almost in every area better than the Redmi 6A for me. And if I had to recommend a phone under 6,000, then eyes closed, it's going to be the Zenfone Lite L1. So with that, we come to an end of this review video. Please let me know what you thought of this review in the comment section below. If you have any feedback to give me, please do that. The Mr. Phone Ask Mr. Phone Anything or hashtag AMA is going on right now too. So please go down any questions that you want to and ask all the questions you want Mr. Phone to answer with the hashtag AMA or Ask Mr. Phone Anything. And we'll soon be making a video and answering all the interesting questions that you ask. So I guess that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sreehari with the Zenfone Lite L1 from Mr. Phone, and I'll catch you in the next one.